I'm John Skinner, and this supports Chapter 19 in my book Striper Pursuit. That chapter deals with fluking from shore, and you can learn more about the book at striperpursuit.com. A couple weeks prior to doing this video, I did an underwater video fishing for fluke, otherwise known as flounder in some parts of the country, using strip baits, and it was a really interesting video, and I learned a lot by watching it, and I thought it would be interesting to see how they react to live bait. So I got some live killies. That's a small minnow type fish that's commonly used for fluke fishing up in the Northeast, and I put it, instead of putting it on a bare hook as I did with the strip bait, I put it on a floating jig head. It's called a Fluke candy teaser. There's a nice hit. These come from Jigging World in North Rochelle Park, New Jersey, and you can see I got some immediate action there. We're going to see some pretty nice video here underwater. So that was a hit to the camera, and here's the most likely suspect. Okay, so this here is a sundial, also called a window pane flounder. He's turning off, and here comes a fluke, grabs the killie, but I'm also jigging a bucktail off to the right of the frame, and he sees that. Even though he's got the killie, he runs over and grabs the teaser, and here it is in slow motion. That's a Tsunami Hollow teaser on the top with a 4-inch Berkley Gulp Alive swimming mullet. There he goes. He grabs that even though he already has the killie. Below that, I'm using an S&S 3/4 ounce bucktail, a rattling bucktail, and also with a 4-inch Berkley Gulp Alive. So that bucktail rig that you saw is what I use when I fluke fish. I don't normally use strip baits or live bait of any kind. I used the bucktail and teaser, both tipped with the 4-inch Berkley Gulp Alive. And one of the things I really like about the Gulp is what happens right here. That fish just ripped the killie off. Now up in the boat, I have no idea that I've lost my bait. And now, you know, the fish is going to follow along, and these fish aren't stupid. I mean, you'll see going through this video that they look very carefully at the offering. And here comes another one. These fish see that, you know, there's nothing to eat on the end of this. It's just the jig head going through the water. There's nothing wiggling, nothing to grab onto, no bait, no live minnow, and they turn off. So with the Berkley Gulp Alive, I don't have to worry about losing my bait. You miss a fish, it's rare that the gulp comes off the hook. It's not something you have to worry about. I always feel like when I fish with bait, I have to worry every time I miss a hit. I've got to worry that I've lost my bait, and I don't feel that way about the gulp. I've rebaited here, and actually I put the killie on upside down, so it looks a little strange. So the fish has it momentarily. Hesitation's going to cost them, though. Here comes the sea robin school. That's it for the fluke. So this video is shot with a Waterwolf camera. One of the places you can buy that camera is at J&H Tackle in Oakdale, Long Island, both in the store and online. You might notice the camera picks up sound pretty well. Often when a fish hits, you can hear that click, and right now you can hear boat noise in the background. And actually I didn't have any boats close at all. That boat was pretty far away, at least several hundred yards, and you can still hear it pretty clearly. Now, I've often read and heard people say that you know, when you're fluke fishing and you feel a hit, you should drop back, like drop back a little bit of line to the fish. And boy, you know, I never felt that way. If you've watched my above water jigging videos, you see that I set the hook almost immediately. And yeah, you know, if you watch these fish strike on the video, they strike so hard, and there's no reason to drop back. When you feel it, you know, set the hook. You've got them. They're not messing around. You know, once he grabs it, yeah, that's it. You set the hook. So I really don't think that dropping back is doing you any good. The hits are really sharp, and actually back on the strip bait video, that was even more pronounced because the strips were 6-7 inches, and whole thing gone, one shot. So yeah, I don't know. To me, you feel a little weight on the tip, set the hook, set it hard. And from watching video that I shot even a couple years ago, bucktailing, you know what? If you miss them, it does not matter. They're coming back. They hit over and over again. In fact, in this video and in the previous video that I've posted, and in hours of video that I've watched but haven't put online, many times you see that the fish has it in his mouth, and then especially with this camera setup, I'm not setting the hook, and the hook comes out, and they go right back after it. So don't be afraid to set the hook. Doesn't matter if you miss the fish. They're going to come back, and the hits are often just very hard, taking the whole thing. And another nice thing about setting the hook quickly is that a vast majority of the time you're going to hook the fish in the mouth, and you're not going to gut hook them. And it's also one of the reasons I like fishing with the bucktails and teasers, because since you're jigging it and you're setting the hook almost immediately, it's very rare that you'll gut hook a fish with that technique. So this fish amazed me. I didn't check, but I think it's about 2 minutes that this one just keeps following and following and following and looking so carefully at that wiggling minnow and still not taking it. And really, it's covered quite a bit of distance. So, and that gets down to, when you're fluke fishing and you're drifting along and you catch a fish, you reach over to the GPS and you make a mark so you know where you caught it. And wow, those, when I think about all the marks on my GPS, a lot of those are probably somewhat off, because who knows how long the fish were following. And this drift speed here is about 1 to 1.2 miles an hour. I know it looks a little bit faster going over the bottom, but I've covered quite a bit of distance here with the fish following. So where I hook it versus where it encountered my offering, it could be quite a bit of separation. Well, these sea robins can be a pain, and you see something like that, and you think about times when you can't seem to get away from them, and you have to wonder, maybe there are a fair number of fluke around, but you can see how aggressive they are, and how the fluke is looking carefully, and the sea robin just smokes on in and grabs it. A lot of times they're probably just not giving the fluke a chance to hit if they're too numerous. Often when fluke fishing, some effort has to be put into trying to get away from the sea robins. Not all the time, but yep, there's another guy trying to get the jig but couldn't quite reach it while still being on the line. So in watching these videos, you see this over and over, where the fish grabs the offering, and I actually cut some of it out there, but they get it and they just keep swimming along, and up in the boat you have no idea you have a fish. And anybody who's put a rod in a rod holder has probably experienced this, where you don't know you have something, and then when you pick up the rod, surprise, there's weight and there's a fish on the other end. That's what's happening. They're just swimming along with it and you don't feel them. And there's a lot to be said for holding the rod, because what I've seen numerous times watching these videos is that they just shake it. You don't even know you had a fish, and they can easily spit it out. So if you're holding the rod, there's a much better chance you're going to feel the hit, be able to set the hook, and it's very important to set the hook. These fluke candy teasers have very, very sharp hooks, but still, if you don't give a good, sharp tug to it, you know, it's not going to penetrate on its own because the Fluke do have pretty hard mouths on the inside. So throughout the video you've probably seen some what looks like variation in water clarity and so forth. This was actually all filmed in about 90 minutes to 2 hours, all in the same place. And sometimes you see it's kind of greenish, other times bluish, and if you saw my underwater bluefish video you see the same kind of thing. It's actually the way the camera adjusts to the light, and you know, it's very common to see this green look underwater, and then sometimes a fish will hit the camera or something, and when it then angles up towards the sky it will change the lighting a little bit. But this was all videoed in the same area. So that looked like one of those times the fish is a little bit camouflaged on the bottom and then just explodes into an ambush strike. And my YouTube channel has quite a few fluke fishing videos. The two most popular ones are fishing for fluke from shore and another one on how to tie the bucktail rig that I use. Alright, I'm done narrating. There's about 5 minutes of action left, and I hope you enjoyed this. And if you like these videos, please subscribe to my channel.